Today's story starts with a food truck, a wedding, and some seriously good pizza.
Christian Buck catered his own wedding with recipes he'd been testing, and his buddy Tom said, "We've got something here."
Throw in Cal, the business brain, and suddenly 3 young hungry guys turned a 300 square foot shop into a franchise on the rise.
And the secret sauce? Radical support, real community, and a vision for legacy that goes way beyond food.
Welcome to episode 104 of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. Joining us today are Christian Buck, COO, Thomas Reinhard, CFO, and Cal Freitman, CEO of Cascadia Pizza. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, guys. We're so excited to have you and hear your story. When we learned about Cascadia Pizza partnering with FranNet, we thought, okay, we've got to get those guys on the podcast. They have a great story of how they got started. So just throw it out there. Christian, you kind of are the one that initiated the whole pizza business of Cascadia. So share with us a little bit about how things got started for you and about catering your own wedding.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having us on your podcast today. For sure. We're happy to join you guys. It really got started with the love of pizza and a little trailer and a tent, something similar you would see kind of like at a farmer's market. And we really, our very first day ever was actually in the same parking lot where we opened our first pizzeria just a few years later. Wow. We sold out of pizza and we were like, all right, we got something going here. Like, what does this look like? So it was part-time on the weekends for the first 3 years, 2.5 years. And then in 2018, that was 2015. In 2018, I was able to get a full, much bigger trailer where I was like, all right, I'm quitting my job. I'm going all in. Let's see what this looks like. And then a few months later, I had opportunity to kind of sign a lease in that same parking lot where we first started. It used to be like a growler fill-up spot where people would get beer. And then I was like, okay, well, that's great to have match beer with pizza. They moved out. It's a 303 square foot pizza space. Wow. That I signed the lease for. I was like, hey, I got to do this. But, you know, I didn't really know too much about business. And I felt like I really wanted to grow this thing. I thought our product was really good. I thought our brand was really good. And I was like, I want business partners. And that's really where Tom and Cal came in. And Tom first experienced my pizza at my wedding. Yeah. I catered my own wedding. Don't ask me how I did it. I just did. It was a little stressful, can't lie. But that's where Tom came in, and Tom was like, man, that pizza is incredible. He actually texted me on my honeymoon just a few days later. He's like, how do you make money from doing something like this? And I was like, I had known Tom, his family knew my wife's family growing up going to church together. And, you know, I knew his family had an entrepreneurial background. And when he texted me, I was like, oh my gosh, am I about to be in business with Thomas Reinhard? I was very excited over that. And then little did I know it was a 2-for-1. I got Cal as well. And then funny story is Cal and I actually have a ton of mutual friends. I had no idea who he was prior to this. We actually ended up going to the same school at different times. And so I had a ton of mutual friends. So that was about 2018. We were like, hey, let's the three, I'm not going to say three stooges, but let's just get together and let's start this, right? Let's just start this pizza brand. And then we put a lease down or signed a lease for our first pizzeria, 303 square feet again, maybe the smallest pizzeria out there. And we opened in January 2019. That's really kind of the start of the three of our journeys in Cascadia. Yeah. And from there, you could take how we got the second food truck if you want, Tom.
So wait, really quick before you jump in, Tom, I wanted to back up because these were your own recipes, right? Like you were coming up with, I don't know if they were family recipes. I think you said you did some research on YouTube.
Yeah. So absolutely, kind of self-taught. I was looking like what are the best pizzolos in the country making? Tony Gemignani comes to mind. Will Grant, he's a guy up near us. And it was like, hey, what are the best combinations of pizzas? No secret recipes. Like some of our pizzas are definitely unique for sure. But it was really just a trial and error. Like, hey, what works, what doesn't, and what's creative. And so we definitely have some funky ones like pear on pizza and apple on pizza.
Oh, wow.
But it definitely works. And then a combination of just, the three of us kind of putting our heads together. And then also with some of our teammates on our team now that have a culinary background. Okay. We kind of just put the menu we have, and it's been a joy for sure.
Okay. Now, Tom, you can jump in.
There you go.
No, it's been such a fun journey. Gosh, so we signed that lease in January 2019, got open. And then, of course, COVID hit a year later, just over a year later. And we had actually just purchased our second food truck that arrived March 2nd of 2020. So literally days before everything shut down, at least in the woods. And so we're like, well, okay, what do we do here? The model for food trucking really had been office parks for lunch, no kitchen breweries, and weddings in the evening. Well, all that went away, couldn't have weddings, couldn't go to the brewery, no one's in the office.
Yeah.
And then all of these neighborhood HOAs started calling us saying, hey, would you bring your food truck to our neighborhood? We thought, well, let's give it a shot.
I guess.
Sure, why not? And it just became the hot thing in our area where all these food trucks that we used to see like in downtown Seattle and Tacoma were now out in the suburbs in these big HOA communities.
Wow.
And so that's really how we built our business, was through food trucking and got the word out. Our first store is in a town called Enumclaw. It's a small farming community of about 10,000 people. And so with food trucking, you're able to go into these bigger markets and be able to really go get the product out there. And so we would start showing up in these neighborhoods. People would be lined up before we got there, 6 feet apart in their camping chairs.
Wow.
Coolers full of beer.
Yeah, waiting for our pizza. And so, our second location is in a town called Maple Valley. That's actually my hometown where I grew up. And that's where we were doing most of this food trucking. And so we had thought the market was saturated. There's several pizzerias there. It's a town of maybe about 25,000. And, but in all these neighborhoods, people are asking us, when are you going to open a brick and mortar here? We need Cascadia and Maple Valley full time. And so we thought, well, okay, we've proven the market. And so we went out and found a location that's a iconic spot in our town and had been a diner for, I think the better part of 50 years. And, didn't do well in COVID. They had to close. And so we came in, purchased the property, renovated it completely, and opened our second location there. And that's now our flagship location.
Wow.
And we really just continued to expand from there with additional food trucks, more brick and mortars, and then now franchising for the past couple of years.
Yes. So I love that origin story. And you have 3 different revenue streams because you have your food truck, you have your brick and mortar, and you also do catering. So what a great story about how you were able to really continue on and serve those communities during COVID. So how did you end up now taking your proven model and turning it into a franchise?
Yeah, great question. We never had the intention of franchising. So me, Tom, and Buck, I've got a tremendous business partners, and hearing them talk, it always fires me up every time I rehear, kind of our origin story. But we got in wanting to be operators, wanting to open 100 pizzerias. We love the customer connection, creating real fun, community-driven spaces. And it's still, to this day, the best thing we ever hear is, this is the best pizza I've ever had. Wow. There's tons of underserved pizza communities across the U.S. And we saw a huge opportunity as operators to build, kind of our corporate owned stores. It was our first franchisee, Rafi Peltekian, who was a good buddy. He was a customer of ours. We were actually just talking last night. We got dinner with him. He's in town, about how many times he was coming to us on a weekly basis as a customer. And we would see him. So he was the local Jersey Mike's franchisee. He owned 3 Jersey Mike's in our area. He was sometimes, ladies, a 4-time-a-week customer.
Wow.
He just was obsessed with our pizza. And he was such a great guy. We became good friends. He ended up moving his family to North Idaho, the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area. And he came to us and said, guys, you got to let me take this pizza to North Idaho. And we said, hey, Raf, this wasn't our plan. This wasn't our intention. Let us look into it. Let us do research. That led us down kind of this long path of franchising. And we found out this is actually the best way to grow our business. It's the best way to continue to make real community impact, become ingrained at that communal level, give great experiences. We didn't want to get washed away by waves of middle management in an effort to take our pizza nationwide. And so franchising became this super amazing model for us where we get to help others have a similar run to what we've had, opening 4 restaurants, couple food trucks, and just being really active in their local community. So it ended up kind of being a roundabout way that we landed on franchise. It was really our first franchisee who brought it to our attention. It wasn't what we wanted to do, but it's been a huge blessing. It's been amazing. And we're really excited to grow this route.
Well, because he was a Jersey Mike's franchisee and he understood franchising, I'm assuming he recommended franchising to you as a way to do that. Or was it, was he just thinking a licensing opportunity, or was he the one that was the impetus of introducing you to franchising and having you research how to do that?
Yeah, I mean, he had some experience with franchising as a Jersey Mike's franchisee. And so he was just kind of like, I don't think he really cared the method. He was like, I just want to have this pizza where I'm at. And so I actually went to IFA, the IFA convention in Las Vegas.
Yeah. That was a good story.
And got connected with a whole bunch of folks there, including Jana Bailey, actually, which is this real full circle moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in the emerging franchisor breakout session or whatever they call it. And anyways, so I got connected with Steve Beagleman from SMB Franchise Advisors, who's become a great friend and partner of ours over the years. And they helped us really put together the franchise system for Cascadia. And so we took us, obviously some time to put it together. And then he hit the ground running with a food truck and then opened 2 brick and mortars 8 or 9 months later, and that are both thriving now and doing really well in North Idaho.
That's an awesome story. I love hearing how things evolve from one phase to the next. So now you're a franchisor. You're not just independently running your food trucks and locations, although I assume you still are doing that as well. Is that correct? Okay. So tell us how things have changed for you as franchisors. Now we always kind of try to help people understand that there's a big difference in your role once you start now having franchisees that you're responsible to help them be successful. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's turned more so into coaching and guiding versus telling you how it needs to be done. And it's been definitely a change for us, but I think we've gone back and refined all of our processes and systems. And so everything we do now is a mindset of, hey, like this needs to be repeatable throughout. And so that was been a challenge early on. We've definitely I think overcome that. And I actually really enjoy the process of creating processes and systems. And so that and working with our franchisees that we have too, our franchisee in Idaho, he has a restaurant background, which is great. But our franchisee in Salem, Oregon doesn't have a restaurant background. So like our system works with people who have experience, people who don't have experience. And so that has been really cool, I think, to see come to fruition where, I think our systems and processes are just really easy to follow. And we've, for the last year and a half, 2 years now, have tried really hard to make sure that's the case. So it's been definitely, from my perspective, a fun challenge for sure.
I think the biggest mindset shift is that the customer becomes your franchisee, not the end user customer.
Yeah.
And so everything that we frame the way that we do business is how can we support the franchisee as our customer and as our partner, really, right. And being able to make sure that they have the best opportunity at success as they can have. And so to Buck's point, I mean, having, really refined systems that are easily duplicatable, replicatable, and easy to implement is really, really key.
Thanks for sharing that, because a lot of times we do hear that going into the food industry, restaurants and franchisors are looking for people with that background. So that's good to know that if we have clients with a strong business background, that they would still get the radical support, as you guys like to share, and learn the food business. So you had told us a story about, your franchisees and kind of how they get open and that process. The great thing is they can start with their food truck. And that's and so they're able to kind of generate business, get going a little bit faster rather than having to wait potentially 8 months or a year to get their brick and mortar open. So the buzz is kind of already generated about the brand before the brick and mortar opens. So.
Yeah, we're really, it's a quick path to profitability when you're acquiring customers without paying rent on your brick and mortar. So it helps us kind of ride that wave of momentum into grand opening, get a lot of people out there, and just, we hold the internal belief, if you try our pizza one time, there's a really good chance we can convert you to be a customer for life. And so for us, it's so much about just getting our product out into the community. When we launch a food truck before we open that brick and mortar, we're acquiring real supportive customers. Our goal is to turn those customers into advocates for the brand. And those folks will show up at the brick and mortar, and people fall in love with the pizza off of a food truck, but they can't get it 7 days a week. Hey, we're on this side of town on Tuesday. We're at a wedding on Wednesday. And so that brick and mortar being built out is really the completion of that market to take all those customers we're acquiring from the food trucks. And now we have a home for them 7 days a week to enjoy our pizza.
I love that. I love that path to building out, because it's a way to, we had somebody that has a similar model say they were making enough in their smaller business comparable to, let's say, a food truck to pay the rent on the actual brick and mortar once they got it open. And that's a lot less painful way to go about it. So how many locations do you have open now?
So we have 4 corporate stores,
Okay.
3 franchise units open. We have a franchisee in Arizona who should be open by the end of the year.
Okay.
And what's great, speaking about opening timelines, they signed their franchise agreement at the end of July. Found a location that's an existing pizzeria. So it's a really easy renovation, really just a rebrand. And so they'll take possession October 15th and be open probably about 4 to 6 weeks later.
Oh, nice.
That's something that we're really passionate about too, is getting our franchisees open as quickly as possible, finding the spaces where they can open a lot faster. They don't have to do massive renovations or TIs to a space. And so while they're doing that food trucking, they're also, and Cal leads our real estate division in really being able to find these more unique build out spaces where they can get open a lot faster if that's the route that they want to go. And of course, the sooner you can get open, the better. And so, we're really excited about that. So, and we've got some more locations planned for next year on the franchise side as well.
So you guys are very involved in that real estate piece, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I want to hear the story. I want you to say it on here. I want to hear about your franchisee who started in your restaurant when he was 16. He's now a franchisee.
He's a very special young man, Jacob. And he's one of the smartest people he's 21 now. One of the smartest people we get to work with. Just such a hard worker. So he started with us at 16 with dreams of going to college, actually becoming a rocket scientist, had a 4.0 GPA in high school, near perfect SAT score. He's a very impressive young man. And he fell in love with our operation. And he was really, really good at it, really talented, really dedicated, great with customers. He worked his way up from a part-time employee at 16 years old, washing our dough trays, all the way up to being the general manager of our original pizzeria, Enumclaw.
Wow.
And to getting a promotion to our busiest and our flagship store, the general manager of Maple Valley. And he really came to us a couple of years ago and he said, hey guys, I actually don't think I want to go to college anymore. I'm saving a lot of money working for you and living at home. I want to open a franchise. And so that is just such a special thing for us. And obviously we're so excited to support him. He will be launching in 2026 with a beautiful pizzeria in Bonnie Lake, Washington. Nice. We're working with a great developer out there we've known for several years and has been working towards this amazing development project he has going on. So we're very bullish. It's going to be an amazing space. We food truck a lot in that area already. They desperately need better pizza. And Jacob is just the perfect guy to go out and execute. And it's been so fun for us having him on our team the last 5 years. And all of us encourage him, hey, we want you to make mistakes now while you're getting paid. And, you're going to be a business owner super soon. But he's ready. He's beyond ready. And it's so fun for us. It's really rewarding to get to see somebody who's really grown a tremendous amount over the last 5 years, who's going out to launch a business of their own. And we just couldn't be happier for him and more excited to support him in his dreams. And he has plans of opening multiple stores. And I would not bet against this young, high-performing individual because he's just a tremendous guy.
That's amazing. We love hearing those stories. And nothing speaks about your operation better than someone from inside that wants to invest and become a franchisee in your operation, because they know all the dirt, right? They know everything. Yeah. They've seen you guys at your best and your worst, right? And they still want to invest in your business. So that is an amazing story. Thanks for sharing that.
It is. So you've obviously got young owners. Tell us more about who your ideal candidate is to be a Cascadia franchisee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say anybody and everybody, but pretty close. Folks who have a positive attitude, who are really looking to get involved in their community. That's a really important aspect of our brand is community involvement. So folks who want to know, their 100 regular customers by their first name. Folks who want to be involved with local charities and sports teams. People who really want to make an impact with young people. Of course, as you can imagine, in a pizzeria, most of our employees are 21 and under, or maybe in college. And so, really being able to make an impact and teach like work and life skills to people in that way. That really is the biggest thing. Of course, food experience is great, but most of our franchisees don't have that. In fact, really only one of them does. And so, we'll take anyone who's got a positive attitude, who wants to make an impact and wants to create generational wealth for their family, do something a little bit different, maybe against the grain, and really create an asset for themselves that can live on after they're gone.
And somebody who wants radical support.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's one of your terms that you use in your business a lot, radical support.
Yeah, well, and that's how we're able to, support people who don't have restaurant experience. If you go into a traditional, let's say big food brand that's out there that, you can think of a dozen different names that are on every corner, they're not getting that level of support. With us, we really make sure that the franchisee has every resource, every tool that they need. They have our phone numbers. They can call us at any time. And also our team as well. We've got a great team behind us who are, in marketing and a whole bunch of areas, IT. I mean, you name it. We've got a person for every area where the franchisee can call them up, send an email, whatever way they need to communicate, and be able to get the answer that they need right away.
Yeah, we like to say that they're in business for themselves, but not by themselves.
Exactly.
A very popular term in franchising.
It is.
So true.
So true.
And we, want to emphasize that not all franchises are created equal.
No.
We, hear stories about, I have a family member, in fact, who bought a franchise and received no support from his franchisor. So, this is a very, important aspect of your brand that we really want to emphasize because, to your point, Christian, in business for yourself, but not by yourself. But that can also mean different things to different people as well. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And you want people that are going to be willing to follow those processes and systems and receive that support because not everybody is. So.
Right.
Tom, you said something that I wanted you to speak about. You talked about your parents and your grandparents were also entrepreneurs. You're third generation, but they were never able to bring anyone along with them. And you guys are getting that opportunity to bring people along with you. And I think that's special too. If you want to speak to that.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'll never forget when my dad sold his business. I was in high school and he was 50 when he sold his business. So, somewhat young. And I remember him saying to me, gosh, I've been successful. I can go out and, kind of do whatever I want to in life now. Him and my mom, but none of our friends can do the same thing. They're still working. And that was always a regret that he had is he didn't have a way to bring people in his life along with him on that entrepreneurial journey because he was so passionate about entrepreneurship, the American dream, the American way, all of that. But in his line of work, in his business, there wasn't a way to, really duplicate that or bring people along in a way, other than a W-2 employee. And it's something that's just always stuck with me. And so as we've been along in this journey, I had before franchising kind of felt the same way. Gosh, we've got great people on our team. We've got great people around us, but we don't really have a way to get them involved and really, share, really the entrepreneurial way, that's so uniquely American, by the way. And so to me, that's a huge piece of, our economy and how, our country thrives. And so now with franchising, when I went to IFA for the first time, the light bulb went off for me and I thought, okay, wow, this is it. This is how we can really not only be successful for ourselves, but find purpose in that success and really bring other people along who are motivated, want to, be in business for themselves, but maybe don't have all the tools or, the ability to do it, start something on their own without a process in place. And so for me, I mean, this is what gets me out of bed every day. I'll be honest with you. If we weren't franchising, I still would be doing this, but I think I'd be looking for other opportunity as well. And so with franchising, it's like, no, this is exactly what we're here to do, is to bring other people along on this great American journey with us.
Yeah. And I want to kind of circle back to what he's saying too, that loops back into Jacob about how amazing it is that we can do that and provide that for some of our employees who have that same thing. And that's really what the three of us a couple of years ago, we realized that, this is so much bigger than just like us. Mm-hmm. And now that we can bring our employees along with that, I got goosebumps literally talking about that right now, where our employees they can create wealth for their future families. And that is like really, really special. That's not just us, but it's people in our organization as well who deserve it. So that's really cool.
It's a special opportunity for sure.
It is. You have a very big why, and that's what keeps you going every day, which is awesome. So if somebody's thinking about getting into franchising in one form or another, do you guys have a tip that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Man. Okay, I'll say one, because I've now gone to, so many of these different conferences and network events. Pizza is sexy. Okay? The gutter business and the rodent business ain't sexy. Nobody cares that you own a gutter business or rodent business. People care who's your local pizza guy that has great food. Okay, so that's my pitch for Cascadia.
Winner chicken dinner for that response.
Yeah, baby, come on.
That's so
I say that because our franchisee in Idaho, total legend, Rafi. He literally, on his license plate, he is called the Dough Daddy. So he's the
can't make this up.
You can't make it up. He's the pizza king in his market, and that's what we love. People know that he's the guy that owns Cascadia Pizza Co. in Northern Idaho, and that makes the difference.
I love it.
That is perfect. Thank you for that response. Okay. If somebody wants to learn more about Cascadia Pizza, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, certainly on our website, CascadiaPizzaCo.com. And I'd say, get in touch with the FranNet folks. There's a ton of great consultants in this network that we'd be thrilled to work with on our end.
Thank you so much. So if any of you are thinking about getting into franchising or learning more about franchising, please click on the link in the description below. You can find contact information for Roxanne and myself and a lot of additional franchising resources. Thank you all three so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure spending time with you. We know you're busy, and we hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
So much for having us.